we go. Sometimes it takes a while to go live. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Inspire View series video. Today, I am going to introduce you to yet another amazingly talented woman that I've had the pleasure of meeting. And I should probably tell you a little bit about the series first, as I'm skipping around. In case this is the first one you've seen, I was inspired to put this series together to actually inspire other people to live their passion, follow their dreams. So I've connected with women from all over the world who are doing exactly that. And they share what tips, tricks, techniques, inspiration, whatever it is that has gotten them to where they are now. And it's motivational, and it's inspiring to know that we really have a common thread in wanting to follow our hearts. So I am excited that you are here and joining us on this journey to nurture the spark that feeds the fire of your passion. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to a woman who nurtures her passion and creative talents in Finland, which is a very different part of the world than from where I am. And if I say things wrong, they've got a little bit different inflection there. So Rosa Latva, I might have said that wrong, is a singer, multi-artist and performer working with multiple mediums of art. From the age of 16, she has dedicated her life to music, songwriting, and art. She has published 3 albums, from which the latest, Uni, in 2015, is a short album which she fully produced herself. She's known for using genres and mediums in a unique style. A powerful performer and vocalist, she has explored the essence of free expression with her body as the instrument. Besides music, Rosa works also as a dancer, actress, and a visual artist. Very multi-talented. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
I've had a lot of multi-talented ladies on here lately. It seems to be the theme for the last part of 2015. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I love to let people know, because so many people think you have to fall into one thing and focus on that. And it's nice to share how you can incorporate many different areas of interest into what you're passionate about.
Yeah. Totally. It has been something that I have just given myself permission lately, because I've been doing music and singing for so many years. Like, it has been kind of like the main thing that I've been doing, but I've had all these other passions, and they have been getting on more stronger and stronger in my life all the time. And there became this phase where I really just felt that I needed to give myself permission to be a multi-artist, because it's more like I'm creating worlds, and my expression is, the thing is my expression. It's not one medium, but that I can express myself and create these multi-dimensional art pieces.
Yeah. I love that. So tell us a little bit about kind of how you got to this point, so that we have an idea. Like, you didn't just jump in and say, I'm going to be a singer and an artist, and like one day there you were.
Yeah, no, it wasn't actually that like straightforward. So I've been involved with music like since I was little. I started playing the piano when I was really like a small kid, but I was never singing when I was small. I was kind of shy, but I always knew that I wanted to do something creative. So that has followed me all the way. So when I was 16, I think, when I went to high school, I really found out that it wasn't my thing, and I dropped out after 1 year. And that's the time when I actually started to do art more seriously and more professionally. I started to study music, so I am an educated musician.
It's going to be you who can't talk, not
yeah, having a hard time pronouncing things.
Yeah, maybe we're both doing that today. So
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. And I've had all kinds of sidetracks. It's not like I have been doing this all the time, like on it. I had times when I was working as a helper in my old school. I was helping with cleaning and with the kids and in the kitchen. It was a really good time for me to kind of like just ground myself. And after that, there came this point where I knew that I just wanted to do music and performing arts, and it just came very strong for me. And I've had sidetracks after that, but it's kind of the sidetracks become part of my journey, and it's like not like it's not so much like side anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like, I was actually just starting to write something in my newsletter about this, to kind of take the blinders off to the end goal, and you know, people say it a million times, enjoy the journey, but it's hard to do when you do have an end goal. But it's nice to try to remember to do that, because these sidetracks can be so fulfilling.
Yeah, totally. I had 1 year that I went to study visual arts professionally, and even though I enjoyed it, there were many great things, but I felt very called to go back to music and performing. But at that time, it felt kind of like why was I wasting my time? But in a way now, later on, I see all the good stuff that I got from there and all the things that I can use now, because I love to do visual arts. It's not something that I would do only, but it's a part of my expression.
Yeah, it's a great creative outlet.
Yeah.
And so it fits with what you do anyway, it seems, you know, as a creative expression, just instead of a vocal or experiential like sound way, more on the 2D realm.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You talked about free voice. So
Yeah.
what exactly is that, and how do you find it, or how did you find it?
So what I think free voice is that it's the natural expression of your essence, of who you are, and it can happen when we peel away kind of like the layers of who we are not, like all of the extra work that we are doing, all of the extra tension, all of the extra thinking and doubts and belief systems, mindsets. And one that is kind of a big one is that all these ideas that we have in our heads, that what we should sound like and what should our expression be like. I should maybe talk slower. And what I have noticed working with my voice and this idea of free voice or free expression is that they're kind of like these two main principles, and the other one is grounding and the other one is releasing or letting go. So grounding means that you're like connected to earth and gravity and your body, breath and presence. So it's kind of a big one. Mm-hmm. And when we are grounded, we are actually able to let go. So when we are holding, like if we have tension in our body, it's really not free, it's not flowing. But if we have grounding, we have support. And so we're able to kind of like fly over that and just be ourselves, because we can't kind of like not be ourselves. I think it's kind of like related to breath, because our body knows how to breathe even though we're not trying to make it breathe. And usually it just brings all this extra tension into our bodies, like shallow breathing and not using our whole package, our whole body for it, and having like a deep breath. And when we kind of like give the breath back to the body, it becomes more natural. And I think it's the same with the voice and the expression too, that when you just peel away the layers, you're kind of like giving your expression back to yourself. It's not something you have to kind of like be overthinking all the time or controlling, because you already are it. It's not something that we have to go look for somewhere out of ourselves, because it is inside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And I love the way you put that. And as you're explaining it in that way, it also makes me think that other people probably see your real self always seeps out anyway. You know, even if you're trying to repress it or hide it in some way, or you're trying to be like someone thinks you should be or something. I think your true self and your true expression always comes out. And I think even if we aren't that in touch with it, even if you ask somebody else, they could probably kind of reflect back to you how you are too, you know, and be like, oh, then you kind of get a little like, oh yeah, I kind of am like that, right? Sometimes we don't like it, but you know, so,
yeah, it's like looking into the mirror. And what I like, because I've been studying professionally singing, and I've been to a lot of how do you say it, singing lessons and different kind of styles, and I've seen a lot. And because I'm also teaching singing, I'm learning to teach singing, so I get to see a lot. And what I think is kind of a big problem is that we are learning to copy the way that someone else did it, and that is when the expression, it becomes like very empty. Like you maybe know how to do something in the technique way, you may be even masterful with your skill, but it may not be like connected to yourself, so it becomes somehow like soulless.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah, they say to learn from the masters and then you break the rules, kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like learn and forget.
Right.
Yeah,
because the skills will be there, and then you can change them to how it's better expressed.
Yeah,
I think your music, I did listen to some pieces when you sent me the links before, sounds like very exactly how you're saying, you know, a free voice, and it seems very unique to you, and like you really express yourself well in that medium.
And it's not really something that I am trying to, it's not like I'm trying to be different. It's not like I'm looking for something like, oh, this is so different and strange and weird. It's more like it's more like I'm just doing things that kind of like turn me on, or like kind of things that I like.
Right. Well, and that's what comes through, you know, when somebody's doing something that they're not all in on, you can really tell. And when somebody is fully expressing themselves and they're passionate about it, you know, you can like feel it, you know, within you that they really love to do this. And I think that's what so many people try to find throughout their lives, is that way to express themselves in a way that is really genuine and that others can feel.
Totally.
So I guess this kind of goes back to your, now that I brought up your music, go back to that a little bit, and how you hear your free voice in your latest release, that you 2015 album.
Yeah, so it's the Uni album, which means a dream in English, and I actually think it's in kind of like a broader sense, that it doesn't only mean my singing, because it's the first album that's fully produced by myself. So I made, not that I only made the songs and performed them, but I also recorded and mixed and did all this kind of like sound engineering, wizarding stuff. So it was kind of like a place of claiming my voice, and claiming my voice as a producer, and you know, like this, that I had this very like strong feeling that what I like about and what do I like it to sound like, and I just had to give myself permission to really own that. So it's a big part also of having a free voice. It's letting yourself really own that and letting yourself kind of go for it. And of course there's a lot of like playing around. There's this one song that is called Naive Techno, which means like naive techno. So it's kind of like a techno influenced song, but I'm doing this kind of like a parody of scatting, even though it's not. It doesn't sound like a comedy, but the thing is about like, why do we have to use just certain kinds of vowels or syllables when we're scatting? It was kind of like this parody thingy.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
So did you know how to do, how did you learn how to do the production part? Did you just like research that on your own when you decided you were going to produce this yourself?
Well, I actually had some like background that I had been learning it by myself for I think maybe a few years, because the album actually has like songs from a longer period of time. So the oldest recording, I think it's from maybe 3 years ago even, and the newest was recorded on this January. So the lifespan is quite interesting. And now I forget the question.
Did you, if you taught yourself or how you got to that point?
Yeah, so when I was studying visual arts, actually, I had this, because I'm using a software called Ableton Live, and it had this manual of 500 pages, and I just went very like in a very detailed way. I went through every chapter, and I just learned very well that how it works. And I have been experimenting with the software a lot. And of course, I have all this background of doing recordings in the studio, so I kind of had perspective, and I felt like I was ready to do it on my own.
That's awesome. I think that's inspiring to people who, a lot of people say, oh, I could never do that. You know, I'm not into technology, and those things are scary. But I think, like myself with doing this interview series, I had never done anything like this before. But I think when you really want to do something, it's not a struggle to learn how to put everything together. Because what you just said, like reading through this whole manual, that sounds like horribly daunting to me. You know?
Yeah. And really, things have been made so easy. Like, the technology is becoming more easy and easy all the time, because we don't have to know how to do coding or stuff like that to be able to do all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, and that really broadens up the range of things that people can do on their own. And you're so proud of yourself when you accomplish those things too. Yeah. I have to say, personally, you know, I was pretty impressed with myself for learning things that I had no idea how to do. So I'm sure everybody probably feels that way. You're like, yes, you know, kind of just bump yourself. So I'm sure this happens to a lot of people where, you know, there are days where you're just, you know, feeling less than inspired. Are there things that you do? What keeps you going if you're feeling like kind of throwing in the towel, or you're just not really inspired?
Well, there are a few things. The one thing is that I can just very concretely go and look for inspiration.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like, for example, like going to Pinterest and look for great images, or go listen to a concert. And One thing that I have learned is that I used to have a lot of shame with all the projects that I did in my past, and I used to do this, that I deleted some artwork that I made because I somehow wasn't satisfied with them or was embarrassed about them or something, and I like had these moments that I really just threw the towel in, and I was like, I'm quitting, and each time, well, I really didn't quit, like, after all. And what I've kind of learned now is that when there becomes this point of boredom or feeling frustrated or something, like it feels somehow off, it's a point of evolution. It's like the evolution is calling for me. And it's also that it takes a commitment to do something, to learn to do something and embody something. You just need to commit in a way, because it doesn't feel like sunshine every day.
Right.
But when you just do it, it becomes a part of you, and you learn to do it on those days when it doesn't feel so great. But I think it's good to remember that if it sometimes feels boring or hard, it doesn't mean that it's not for you. It just means that there are different kind of weathers and different kind of seasons.
Yeah, I like that commit to something. Don't give it up, because you never know if you would have achieved it if you quit.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, and there is actually this like there is this idea of that every like production or a project, it has a lifespan. You know, like in the beginning you get this idea phase, and like you're going really fast, and it's like the honeymoon thing, and then at some point there comes this drop. It like feels like this is like the worst thing ever, and it's shit, and it will never become ready or something, and then after that it becomes like the great thing.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, in this album, you know, some of your pieces are from a couple years ago. So I do that myself. I get in this wild creative moment and I do something, and then I kind of put it aside and it sits there. My children like to point that out to me sometimes. So I'm like, I'll come back to it. I'll come back around. Somewhere it's going to fit into something that I'm doing at some point in time. It's gonna flow back into a project or something. It's never wasted.
Never. Nothing ever goes wasted. I really have learned that it's such a great thing to do, to archive like everything. And it's also kind of an act that shows that you're appreciating what you do, and you're kind of like taking care of your work. Because not every idea becomes like ready to go or ready to fly.
Right. Right. And isn't it amazing, like when we see pieces of artwork from like Da Vinci or something, you know, some ancient master that they're not the great masterpieces, they're sketches or something, but they always kept them all.
Yeah.
So because you never know what will come of that.
Yeah. And it's also really fun to go back to them, because you actually see that what have you learned and where did you come from? I think it's really nice to see the journey.
Right. And I love to see that in people's businesses too, you know, when they share, oh, look how I started, you know, especially people who have grown like exponentially, right? And then you see nobody starts out as, you know, some magnificent artist or a fantastic musician. You know, everybody has to start someplace.
Yeah.
So I really like the idea of kind of staying in touch with the beginning pieces and archiving them, like you said.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yes.
So since we're inspiring people here. What would you say to somebody who maybe comes up to you and asks, you know, how you've gotten along in this journey, and they're thinking about taking a leap of faith? What would you say to them?
I would say I hope this is not a downer, but I would say that start from where you are at. Like, what I think about like taking a leap of faith, you kind of like have to build a foundation. Like, for example, if you are really learning to do some kind of a jump, if we think about dance or martial arts, then you first kind of like learn that which leg goes where and what is the rhythm of the jump, and okay, where do my hands go, how high do I have to jump, or what is the direction. And when you have all of these pieces, then you're actually ready to kind of do the leap. And there is a point when you just have to do the leap. You have to just trust that you have all of it, kind of.
Right. I love that, the way you put that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great analogy, because I can picture that. I'd be thinking, just leaping without any sort of foundation, and like doing in dance or something and not knowing where your arms are going or something. I can see that being a little messy and discouraging. So it just put a funny picture in my head. So I love how you put that. And it is important to have some sort of foundation, but then knowing that you have to take that leap at some point, because you can always correct it. How are you going to know if you're doing it right if you don't try it?
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of like when you leap, it's the moment of kind of like surrender, and you just give into the moment and you just go.
Yeah. That's great. I still got that funny picture in my head of somebody just leaping. It's rather comedic, actually. You know, like a ballet dancer. I'm actually picturing like a man, you know, like a ballet dancer doing one of those gorgeous leaps that they do, but having not been trained to do it and just doing it is kind of funny. That's what popped in my little random sidetrack right there. So do you find that all your different creative expressions, do they kind of come together and blend at some point?
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you mean like in a very concrete way in some project, or?
Yeah, I guess kind of. Because you've got like visual arts and photography, right? And then music. Do you find that they ever kind of blend?
Yeah, totally. I have this kind of like a vision of, if you think about it, like if there was kind of like a fairy tale, like a book of fairy tales, but the fairy tale was like this multi-dimensional thing that you can hear it and you can see it, and there is also movement to it. Because I've been actually doing a choreography to one of my songs in the album, and that is kind of like one connection that I can interpret what I did in another realm also.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Do you video these and share them? I would love to see this.
I will when they will be in that phase.
Yeah, that's awesome. And well, I'll mention, hopefully you'll share some snippets perhaps in the future on the new Inspire View series Facebook group that I just created yesterday. So that would be fantastic.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm excited because you've got a very generous free gift for everybody who watches this series. And gifts, multiple. So I'll let you go ahead and explain and tell everybody about that.
Yeah, so okay, this my gifts, and they are audible, so they are music, and the other one is a live recording of the first a solo concert that I made. It's from the very early stage of my career. So it's the release concert of a album called From the Shelf. And kind of like the reason that I wanted to share it, you can go listen to it and download if you want to, is that I very strongly feel that it was a moment where I was really strongly in my expression. So every time I go back to it, I feel very like, I remember like where I come from. I remember why I am doing what I am doing. And I think that when you witness someone being in their expression, it can inspire you to be more courageous with yourself and find connection to your own expression. It's not like I'm telling you to imitate what I did or copy what I did. Maybe you can get inspired or somehow like affluenced, but the point is that you can find the energy of someone being themselves. So that can be of an inspiration. And the other one is the Uni album, which is in Bandcamp, and you can go and listen to it. And if you want to, you're able to purchase it as a digital CD.
Mm-hmm.
There are like a few of these physical goodies, one still left. Not many, but if someone wants to actually download like a physical CD, or how do you call it? When you buy something.
From digital, or when you actually purchase like the actual physical CD?
Yeah, if you want to purchase the actual CD, there are a few left.
Okay. Okay. Got it. We got it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And I've listened to some of your music, and like I said before, it's unique. And because I don't think we shared here, what is kind of your background with the music that you sing or write? Because you do have kind of a blend, don't you, of
Yeah, I've been studying a lot of different things. I've studied pop and jazz music, and I've been many years in the folk department, so I have quite a lot of knowledge of the folk music and folk singing, and I've also been taking classical lessons, and I've listened to a lot of music during my life. So it's kind of like this fusion of everything that I've sucked from my environment.
Yeah, it's good. Influences, that's what the word I was trying to think of at the moment, and I couldn't think of it. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the links will be on my website at CherriseBoucher.com. So the video recording to this link will be there along with the MP3, and then the links for Rosa's music will also be there. So it's all easy in one place. Also, this interview is available on YouTube on my channel as well. So thank you so much, Rosa, for being with me today, because I know we've got quite a time difference, but we make it happen. We make it happen.
It's doable.
It's been such an honor to connect with you, and I hope we get to do this again.
Yeah, this is very pleasurable.
Even though we had like internet difficulties the other day, we got it worked out.
It was really great.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.